Okay, today we're going to talk about integers. Integers is the fancy word for positive and negative numbers. It's really not very complicated. It's pretty easy. There are two sets of rules for integers. The first set of rules address when you're multiplying and dividing positive and negative numbers. And it's really simple, okay? Basically, if the signs of the two numbers that you're multiplying or dividing are the same, then your answer is always positive. If the signs of the two numbers that you're multiplying or dividing are different, then your answer is always negative. So really, for positive and negative numbers that you're multiplying and dividing, it's very, very simple. The same gives you a positive answer. Different signs give you a negative answer. That's it. That's all there is to it. It gets a little bit more complex when you're adding and subtracting. I know that sounds a little bit crazy. Why would adding and subtracting be more complicated than multiplying and dividing? Because it is. So here's what I suggest, okay? You might recognize this from a million years ago. Do you see what this is? It is a fabulous little handy dandy number line, okay? And I make my number lines, I usually make them in chunks of 5 with little hash marks in between, because that way it makes it a little easier for me to read. You could memorize a couple of sets of rules for adding and subtracting positive and negative numbers, but frankly, why memorize the rules when you can use something that you're probably really familiar with at this point? I always use number line. I suggest that people use number lines until they get really used to the positive and negative numbers. So for instance, if I have a problem, let's say my problem is this lovely little problem here, 4 plus negative 3. Okay, just to refresh your course on using the number line, if you can't remember. Okay, you're going to go ahead and on your happy little number line, you're going to find your 4. Okay, and that negative, it says 4 plus negative 3. Now, you know that anything to the left of 0 is going to be positive, and anything to the right of 0 is negative. Okay? So you're going to follow your signs. If you start over here at 4, the first sign tells you positive, right? First sign tells you to move to the left. Okay? But the next sign that you encounter is a negative. That turns you around and moves you to the right. How many spaces do I go to the right? I go 1, 2, 3. So 4 plus negative 3 is 1. Okay? Every time you encounter a new sign, a positive or negative, you're used to reading addition and subtraction when you see a positive and a negative. That's okay, but whenever you encounter a new sign, either a positive symbol or a negative symbol, it's going to flip you around on your number line, okay? So, it's okay as long as you have you're either adding or subtracting positive and negative number. For instance, if we flipped that problem around and we made that problem, let's say, negative 4 plus 3, it's not that difficult, right? So you know that you're going to start over here at negative 4. What's the next symbol you encounter in that problem, negative 4 plus 3? It's a positive, so you're going to go this direction, go to the right. How many places are you going to go to the right? You're going to go to the right 3 places. So you're going to go negative 4, negative 3, negative 2, negative 1. So negative 4 plus 3 is going to get you to negative 1. It gets a little bit more confusing if you are subtracting a negative number. Okay? Um, there are two ways that you can think about it. Okay? The first way you can think about it is really both of the negative signs that have at least have a number next to them. There's that invisible one concept in algebra, which we haven't talked about yet. Somewhere along the line, probably in middle school math, you may have heard a teacher say if you have two negatives next to each other, you multiply them together to get a positive. And that's fine if that works for you. If that's very confusing for you at this point, stick to your number line, and here's how you do it. Okay, let's take a look at this problem here, okay? If I can get it up to the screen correctly. And that would not be the right problem, so let's try that again. Let's take a look at this problem. 4 minus negative 3, okay? You have a double negative there. You're not multiplying, so it's not going to give you necessarily a positive answer. You have to follow the signs. So, again, you're going to read each of the symbols. I like to think of my negative sign as my detour. Every time I encounter a negative sign, it says, ooh, bad, don't go that way, don't go that way, don't go that way, flip around, flip around. Okay, that sounds a little kooky, but here's why I think of it that way. So our problem was 4 minus a negative 3. So let's say we're going to start at the 4, and the first symbol we encounter is a negative. So that turns us over to the right, correct? All right. But the next symbol I encounter in the problem, 4 minus a negative 3, the next symbol I encounter in this problem, okay, is this second negative. Well, if my negative signs are detour signs, and they tell me to turn around and go the other way, 4 minus would have me going this way, but the second negative is going to turn me around, keep me from going to the right, and go back this way. So 4 minus, nope, turn around, negative, now we're going to go to the left, 3. So we're going to go to the left, 1, 2, 3. Huh? I end up at positive 7. So 4 minus a negative 3 is positive 7. It's true. It's a little counterintuitive, but it's true. Oftentimes, when you have the double negatives, you wind up with a positive answer. You definitely end up with a number that is larger than the number you start with. So, to review, for working with integers, the fancy way of saying positive and negative numbers, you're going to, if you're multiplying or dividing, remember the same is positive and different signs are negative. Okay? It's like a 2-year-old. They want to eat the same thing every night. And if they're not eating the same thing every night, ew, they throw a fit and won't eat. You can tell I'm a mom. When you're adding or subtracting positive and negative numbers, use your number line. And every time you encounter a negative sign, remember it's your detour telling you to flip and go the other direction. That's all for now. Have a great day.